Just listening into the conversation there between Sarah and the safety car, the Chrysler Petters safety car there at the rear of the field, and the conversation with the race director Tim Schenken up at race control. So look, at the moment there's a little hole in this weather, but I just had another quick look at the radar a minute ago, and as the boys were speculating, and Rihanna speculating down there before as well, you wouldn't bet against it.
Well, we scan every car. I've never heard so much chat at the moment between every driver, every engineer. They're all contributing to what the crossover point is. So if it does dry, what time of the race do you come in? What's the next weather pattern going to do? Do I use the outside line? How do I get it off the line? Meaning, make it walk. You've got to drive it off the line like a road car. It is going to be so tough to read the conditions early.
Yeah, so the question is, what?
Yeah.
What do I do? So you just had a little glimpse up there on Seven's mega wall of our onboard coverage this weekend. 9 cars in total: Whincup, Winterbottom, Davison, Kelly, Pye, Courtney, McLaughlin, Slade and Reynolds. Just under 4 kilometres. We nipped 20 metres out of the track 2 years ago. It's a very challenging track, especially when it's wet.
You're not wrong about that, Neil. 11 turns, very fast. 270 kilometres an hour at the end of the main straight. 215 kilometres an hour at turn 1. It'll be about 180 kilometres an hour in the rain. It is such a difficult racetrack because it's so fast. It's like Phillip Island. It's low grip, and you've got to be able to keep the momentum up, make the car flow. Don't slow it too much, even in the rain. You've just got to keep the car flowing the whole time around these big, long, fast European-style corners.
Loads of scene looking from the front row of the grid. It'll be just masses of wheel spin when they do get cranking. There'll be spray, impossible to see. Let's check out the Fuso starting grid, and for the 58th time in his career, Jamie Whincup starts from the pole position, and the Volvo alongside Scott McLaughlin. They flip it around for later this afternoon. And we've got Rick Kelly and Craig Lowndes. Craig's in a much worse position for the next one, but he's on the second row for this. Michael Caruso and Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane, we know, does an awesome job in the wet. Watch out for him. Lee Holdsworth, New Deal, position 7. Nick Percat has been very strong, very consistent in the recent past. Fabian Coulthard, very fast here at the test day when it was wet earlier in the year. James Moffat, who was a bit of a star when we were at Queensland Raceway last time out with Will Davison. David Reynolds feeling the blunt end of a bit of embarrassment out there at the moment after falling off at turn 6. That'll be one that he won't want to talk about at the end of the day. Scotty Pye, Chaz Mostert. Chaz went off down there as well, but it's very easy to do with no grip. Championship contender Mark Winterbottom down the order there. Successive races for him. He's been buried in the field. Very difficult. Slade, and then Jason Bright had a downshifting problem with the gearbox in this qualifying session earlier. He couldn't get the car to downshift going to turn 2. One of the reasons why he's buried down the order.
Did you see that? Did you see Holdsworth? He ran out of opposite lock then. He was so sideways around turn 3. He was out of control.
Russell Ingall took the opportunity to soften off the car, we understand, going out to the grid. So yeah, I think there's a fright a minute going on out there at the moment.
Well, they're all testing the line. They're running to the widest part of the track to try to test where the grip level is. You cannot believe in these conditions how difficult it is to understand not only where I need to drive the car, where I need to position it. With all these onboard cameras, Reynolds, Slade, Davison, we've got stacks of them. We've got Whincup, Winterbottom, Rick Kelly. Rick Kelly will be strong. He's been very good here in the rain over the years. This is Corporate Hill. Around the outside of this corner is definitely higher grip than on the inside traditional racing line. Around the outside of turn 9 is the same. There's more in cars for you. As I said, Rick Kelly's got real form. He's on position 3 alongside Craig Lowndes, second row of the grid. Michael Caruso just behind him with Van Gisbergen. As you said, Neil, he's got real wet weather form. Wow, this will be on.
As you were dog paddling your way back from the pit lane in the chat with Mark Larkham, talked about the performance of Rick Kelly in wet conditions. He was strong here. He won in 2004. He won at Sandown in 2011. David Reynolds is still testing the grip limits down there. Let's get back to Mark Larkham.
Yeah, I'm just down here on the grid. This is David Couchy, Jamie Winkup's engineer. I can tell you he's nearly as nervous as Jamie's in the car. I watched them blast off here before. The wheel spin was phenomenal. There was zip grip, just none at all. And I just hear you talking, boys, from the comms box there. I don't know about you guys, with these ones, like the boys are doing, when it hasn't rained for a long time, you want to feel what the car's doing. You want to actually drive it at speed on the outlap. And the other one you want to do is jump on the brakes hard and lock them up so you can feel where the threshold is. This is going to be fascinating. Guys that'll have the only opportunity on that warm-up lap to adjust that bias, have a little feel where they want their NT roll bars, but now it's going to be about driving technique.
And it's also going to be about very, very sharp situational awareness, understanding who's around you. When you're in the mid-pack, it'll be braille. You just have to feel your way around the racetrack. High-intensity rain lights are illuminated at the rear of the car. That's mandatory when the wet tyre is on. Single sweep wipers on these cars, unlike your road car. Polycarbonate screens, very different configuration to the windscreens we've had in the past. No heating elements in the screen like you have in the rear window of your road car. Race director controlling operations on the starting grid. 25 cars, we're all clear.
Green flag.
The thunder of the V8 Supercars erupts at Sydney Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek. It's a very good jump by Whincup. He walked it away from the line. McLaughlin goes with him, but how about Van Gisbergen? He'll be in second place when they come out of turn one. The mid-pack is a visual disaster. You cannot see. Look at Van Gisbergen trying to force a line down the inside. He didn't get it done. It was McLaughlin who did an awesome job through one. And he touches Whincup. The top three barely missing each other in that run down to turn two.
Van Gisbergen came from 6, Neil. That was unbelievable the way that he made the car walk off the line. This is the visibility we spoke of. And this is the outside line. They're all in. Reynolds around the wrong way. And that was so close. That was Mark Winterbottom. They've made contact. That's Tim Slade with huge damage on the right-hand front. That's just because you can't see. Visibility 0. Reynolds spun round at turn 3. There was definitely contact in the middle of that pack. Mark Winterbottom, safety car out now.
Continue on out of pit lane.
We said it was going to be wild. That is as wild as it gets when you can't see with a massive pack of cars around you. Van Gisbergen, the clear winner of the first lap.
I thought he was going to emerge in second place at turn one, so I think what happened was he might have pinched it so tight through one that it slid on him, and that allowed McLaughlin to hold that position. But that's an awkward situation between Slade and Reynolds on the exit of turn 3, just at the crest of the hill. They were in that mid-pack area, buried in the spray. David Reynolds qualified in 13th. I'll have a look at the start replay at the moment, in a moment, but check that. Have a go at Whincup. He just walked it off the line like a road car. Then down the order here, very, very hard work. Tim Slade was 19th on the grid, so those guys were in that awkward spot. Good start there for Michael Caruso as well. They were 3 wide into 1, and it is like ice out there. Big moment for one of the Wilson security entries here.
This is on board now with Winterbottom, so that's Mostert off to the right. So Mark's start was very good. He's got 3 or 4 spots here, but watch what he does. So there's Bright, just emerges. Now that's the visibility we're talking about. You can't see anything. Don't even know where the road is. He got a bump. Someone just bumped him from the left-hand rear for sure. Then he's gone down here. Now what you do is you just protect yourself. Get to the inside so you don't get run into. So he's on the inside. There's the bumping with Reynolds. Along the outside is Moffat. You'll see Bright in a second because we were on board when this happened. There's Bright. Have a look off to your left now and you'll see the rotating Dave Reynolds. There he is. And in a second you'll see a bang. That was Tim Slade.
Got a hunch there was contact between James Moffat and David Reynolds there. This is from on board with Whincup. I just wanted to listen to that because he got absolutely no wheel spin at all.
And this is the man we said. He come from P6. How was that? P6, what a start from Van Gisbergen. And what you said's right. He had to hold it tight. Got 2 sideways. But have a look at this. Check out this. Because he runs around the outside. Gone. So he almost spears the back of Whincup. He almost turns the series leader around at turn 2. This is the outside run. There was definitely contact there with Moffat and Reynolds. So then he's parked. We'll pick this up now, and Slade right up on 2 wheels. Wow, that is huge force to send the car that high in the air. Look at the damage at the front of the Super Cheap Auto Commodore. Check this out. We're going to show you again how high this car stands on 2 wheels. Remember, with this Gillette Mach 3 replay, that you don't, in the rain, have any grip. The cars are sliding. So the only way the car will dive onto 2 wheels is if it ramps up like that. It runs up on the wheel of Reynolds, stands right up on 2 wheels, and almost rolls over. Whew.
So they're under the control of the Chrysler Petters safety car at the moment. The rain is actually falling again, not quite as strong as it was a little bit early on. Reynolds makes it back into the pit bunker, and it's eaten the front left corner out of that car.
And that's just unlucky for both of them, Neil, isn't it? He was rotating, and Slade had nowhere to go. So Tim Slade now has had more DNFs than any other driver this year. Care of Aaron Noonan's stats. And that is a very average way, given the warm-up lap for Dave Reynolds. He's had a drama on the warm-up lap and then a drama on the opening lap of this race. We will get to the bottom of what actually happened, because we look for some witness marks on the back of the car, whether there was real contact with Moffat or not. We're really not quite sure as to why Dave Reynolds rotated.
Geez, Dave Reynolds just back in pit lane. That's a tough way to start the day.
Yeah, it's a very tough way. You know, it's hard to see out there, so I'm not sure who turned me around. But yeah, someone come and clean me up in the pack, and yeah, did a lot of damage. But man, that's racing. That happens. We'll fix it for the next one. We'll be better for the next one.
Looks like Tim Slade might have collected you pretty hard. You okay?
Oh, it's Slady, was it? No, that's all right. I think it was. I'm not sure. I have no idea who was behind me. My mirrors are fogged up at the start. And there's not much I can do about it.
How tough is it out there?
Conditions are very bad, especially on the warm-up lap. Especially when you're out on slick tyres and the track's fully wet. But the first lap, I don't know. It's hard to say. I just went down to turn 2, got out of turn 2, was going okay, couldn't see anyone beside me, so I turned in and then got cleaned up, and then got really cleaned up by someone else.
We hope to see you back for next race, Dave.
No worries, thanks boys.
I think the other point in all that is that the reality is that nobody's trying to do anything to anybody out there in these conditions. They're just surviving. So for some reason there's been contact. There's another Ford Performance racing car mixed in there as well. I think it was Chas Mostert. So any man's guess as to who triggered it in the first instance. But ultimately it was Tim Slade with nowhere to go, with the Ford Falcon of David Reynolds crossed up sideways in the middle of the road. Rihanna's down there with Tim.
Sorry, I was just trying to chase Tim. Tim, firstly, just while you get your helmet off, we just want to make sure, I know you just had a quick chat to the guys from medical. You went up really high in the car. Are you okay, first and foremost?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Just, I saw Reynolds sort of spinning initially then, and then, with all the spray and everything else, lost sight of where he was. Stuck up behind another car and, sort of moved at the last second, and, Reynolds was there. So, pretty unfortunate.
Just talk us through how difficult it is for visibility in those first laps.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's really, really hard to see. So, I managed to get through the first couple of corners all right, and then I could sort of see Reynolds spinning in the distance, like I said, and then, sort of lost sight as we got closer because of all the spray. So, guess you get that in the rain.
We're glad you're okay, Tim. We look forward to seeing you out there tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tim Slade there with Rihanna Cream. We're on board here with Rick Kelly, Jack Daniels Racing, Nissan Altima. That's the view, first gear. Jamie's just walking the field into a nice slow pace here. He's got control, and we'll get a restart this time through. So that replay that we saw early on did explain what happened to Van Gisbergen, because it was an awesome start for him from further back, but he slid halfway through turn 1, and that compromised his exit speed, and it actually gave the incentive back to McLaughlin to have a crack at Whincup down at turn 2. We're racing once again.
Do you ever see that? Do you ever see the leader pull right to the inside? So that's what Jamie Whincup did. Moved it right over, and that's still not allowing any gap between he and Scott McLaughlin. In fact, McLaughlin was all over the back of the car on the way into turn 1. Now Van Gisbergen gets down the inside. That's for position. Good move. Now again, they're going to have to work out where the grip lies. Is it on the inside of the traditional line, or is it on the outside? It certainly is around the outside at turn 3.
Look at Percat's screen. It's terrible. So Nick Percat can't triple 2. It's only the area right in front of his driving position where there's any visibility. He's got fog on the left-hand side of the screen, very bad. So he'll have real trouble trying to find an apex as he turns left down here. There's James Moffat just behind Chas Mostert. Jason Bright in there as well. Russell Ingall looking for a move on Scott Pye.
Bright's done a great job. 6 positions on the opening lap.
Huge variation in the grip level. You can see how shiny it is on that resurfaced portion of the road at turn 6. So turn 7.
And that's those 2 different lines, Neil. Sorry, that was the inside line for McLaughlin and the outside. There's the outside line now that they're all using. So different, isn't it, the way they achieved that?
What they try and do in these conditions is do everything in their power not to make wheel spin, just to drive against the torque of the engine and just short shift the gears, not use all of the available revs, just gently pad the throttle, urge the car forward. But once the wheel spin begins, it not only hurts the edge of the tyre, but clearly you start going sideways.
Garth Tander, great job. He's also gained 7 positions. I think he just got by Michael Caruso. So to get to 5, he started 14th. So that's 9 spots now for Tander. So he's man of the match for the opening couple of laps.
They're 15 seconds a lap slower than they'd be in dry conditions out there at the moment. So Lowndes now on the back of McLaughlin. Meantime, Van Gisbergen, he's starting to work away on the back of Jamie Whincup. And that sky still significantly threatening to the southeast, the east and the northeast of here at the moment, and that's where the weather's coming from. So turn 4. So Whincup searching high there for grip. Very different line for Van Gisbergen. McLaughlin, the fastest man in Sector 1. Coates High leaderboard shows you where your favourite driver is. We're on board here with James Courtney. And look how awful it is on the left-hand side of his screen for visibility. That's an issue for the Holden Racing team. They better sort that out. Take a break. Be back soon.
He's already made his way to the front of the field, and are we about to see him drink out a bit of a gap there?
Back at Sydney Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek. Race number 26 of the championship. We've got a new leader. Young Kiwi, Shane Van Gisbergen, has grabbed the lead from Jamie Whincup, and this is where he did it. down at turn 6, which is newly resurfaced, and it trapped Jamie Whincup. He ran wide on those icy, slippery surface conditions down there, and it was an easy pass then for Van Gisbergen, who this weekend celebrates his 100th round start in V8 Supercar Championship competition.
We saw Ingle make those changes to the car before the start. This is Winterbottom, who's back still in 17th, has made no progress forward and looks like he's struggling in terms of his best lap at this point has been a 48.65 when the leaders are doing 45.3s. So 3 seconds away from the lead cars.
So we've seen some really flamboyant drives from Van Gisbergen in these conditions previously as well. There was one at Sandown quite a few years ago when he was a relative newcomer to the series. He does a lot of drifting in New Zealand, and he's been in a lot of race cars very successfully this year. He was at Spa, didn't get to race, but he was there when Craig Lowndes was there a few weeks ago. He went to Daytona earlier in the year. He did the 12-hour at Bathurst as well. He's done a lot of V8 supercar mileage, really at the peak of his powers. Steve Hallam, man in charge of operations down there at Techno Autosport, very impressed with his performance. This is Scott Pye. Check out just how bad it is behind Todd Kelly here. These guys are down in 18th, 19th position. Always looks fine from the external shots, and when you go on board and you realise what it looks like from inside the car, it's really hard work. There's the race leader, Larko.
Neil, I'm not going to try and give you a weather prediction, but I'm down here at turn 1. There's sun all around, and there's dark sky all around me. Now, do the numbers. These guys, as Scafey just said, doing about 1 minute 45. There goes Van Gisbergen, blazes past. Now, we know that it takes about 40 seconds to come into the pit lane, put your tyres on, your dry tyres, if that's what you want to do, and get back out and get going again. So you can do the numbers yourself, work it out. And for all the computers and all the science we have in our game, I love that bit, because the best read you get on that is the guy sitting in the driver's seat. Because historically, the guy that's smart enough to pick the moment to put his slick tyres on, if he does, will come out best.
And some of that just ends up being good guessing. You can make it as scientific as you like and pretend they're as clever as you like, but sometimes I can remember, Scapey, many years ago, some of those races at Bathurst, you end up just gambling, hoping that you get it right, trying to do the best from the drive. Often the driver's got the best view of this, because it's actually quite hard in the engineering bunkers to see what's going on all around. But you can make big, brave calls, and you can get it massively right and look like a superstar, but massively wrong.
Scafey, I bumped into your old engineer, Richard Holway, who's now Scotty McLaughlin's engineer on the grid. He said, make a point at asking Scafey about the weather. Can you give us a weather report here at Eastern Creek, pal?
I wasn't going to go there, Larko.
Go there.
He did a lot of things. He's got a lot of numbers. He's got 10 wins at this place. One of the things MS was not good at was picking the weather. That's about the only thing we've got on him, Larko. Here we go. Good place manoeuvring going on here at the moment. So I reckon the drivability of the Volvo's not really where it needs to be here at the moment for McLaughlin. Just listening before in the onboard, that car bursting into a lot of wheel spin. So he's getting a Red Bull assault there at the moment. They're all around him. He won't know which way they're going to come at him at the moment. They're on that final corner. Big run down the straight and a chance to just draw breath and have a look around. 4.4 seconds last time through was the gap Van Gisbergen to McLaughlin.
And totally different lines there. McLaughlin used the traditional race line, the one that uses the inside apex point. The other two guys were right around the outside. What we'll do is we'll stay with Jamie Whincup and we'll have a look at the technique differences and the lines that are used to achieve the most amount of grip in the rain. So check this out. That's Whincup sideways, and right around the outside. They run around the outside of the corner because the road has more surface grip out there. Great driving. That was Lowndes right out sideways, up the inside. So Jamie got caught with a patch of water, burst into wheel spin. Lowndes was up the inside at Corporate Hill, slid the car by him, and then Jamie had to stay off the throttle so he didn't run into his teammate. This is now up at the top end of the track, about to come back onto the straight. This is where the different lines are used again. So this is outside. See the amount of oversteer there that Lowndes had, and he was searching for the concrete. We're going to stay with this around turn 1. So he's moved it out of the spray. That's just for visibility. Moves it back in. Still about 260 kilometres an hour. Look at the line and the sliding. There's no steering lock on the car. Amazing car control. Very hard to bring this to life for you because the speed's much lower. This is the pass. So down the inside on the Mach 3 replay, that's Lowndes. Now check out how sideways he ends up. Sideways, speedway action. Gets that done up the inside. Look at this. He has got great car control, and Jamie Whincup helped him with that. He could have given him a little bump. So Van Gisbergen leading. What a great job he's done, Crompo.
And he's just easing away with this at the moment. It's a 5.5 second lead, Van Gisbergen over McLaughlin. Although McLaughlin was fastest in the first sector on this most recent lap. A quick break. We'll be back with more from Sydney Motorsport Park. Back at Sydney Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek, this is Nick Percat in a battle here with Will Davison. They're on lap 12 of 26, race number 26 this afternoon, 100 kilometres of super sprint racing. Percat's got a run down the inside here on the AMG Benz. Still seeing quite a bit of external evidence of fogging on the inside of Nick Percat's screen there. It's not much better on the left-hand side of Will's car either. So Van Gisbergen, incidentally, just in the last couple of minutes, has extended his lead out to 9.3 seconds. Remember, before the break, I talked about it being just over 3. McLaughlin out of business. So it was just over 5 seconds. Now it's just over 9. Lowndes has gone to second. And down at turn 2, we've got a big problem here for Scott McLaughlin.
Have you lunched it, did it? Like it's a big blower. There's no smoke, but it's blown up, I think.
So that was Richard Holway talking to Scott.
Just stopped it. Stop the pressure, now I lost my steering, obviously the power steering pump stopped.
So they're talking about the power steering pump, which may have come from the engine actually failing and turning the steering off.
Wow. We're going to take a break while the Petters Chrysler safety car is arranged. Scott McLaughlin is the man that we're looking at. What a disaster for him. He's been looking pretty racy this afternoon. Van Gisbergen remains in the lead.
I just don't have the drive front and I don't have the drive at the hairpin. Now the last corner, I'm very poor. Yeah, copy that. We can see that here as well, Matt. Is there anything you need, mate? I can't get that. Come into the box. It's obviously a bit slippery here, so a little bit ginger. A little bit ginger in the box. We'll give you 4 new boots. Yeah, copy that. Just see now we're under safety car, whether you can do your best and try to remove that as much as you can. Yeah, I can remove the closest one to me, just not the... No one else in pit lane. You'll be clear to go as soon as it drops. Go. You're going to be clear out. There's no one on the front straight, mate. As an 8, and it's going.
We're looking at Mark Winterbottom, Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. It's lap 13 of 26. We're at the halfway mark of race 26 of the championship season, and the furrowed brow for Mark Winterbottom is he's just come to the pits. Now, we didn't expect to see anybody, but they went out on used wet tyres in the case of car number 5. They've brought him in and put him on brand new wet tyres. Winterbottom is down in 22nd place at the moment, so they're going to try and claw back as many points as possible.
Yeah, Tim Edwards, a tough situation here. Mark Winterbottom, I know you're racking your brains trying to work out what to do, but how do you bring him forward?
Look, I mean, he was struggling with no tyre grip at all out there, so, you know, there was only 2 cars behind him on track, so we thought we'd bring him in and put another set of tyres on, but, yeah, he's just got no rear grip at all.
What's the answer for this afternoon? You've got one more race to go. What do you want to tweak up to try and get him moving?
Well, it obviously depends on the weather, you know, it could dry out, you know, it's stopped raining now, so it might be a dry race, completely different, but, you know, in this particular race, just the rear tyres, just absolutely no grip, so we'll just try another set, you know. It's one of these things, sometimes you try a new wet tyre and you can get good time out of it. Sometimes a used tyre is better. So we've actually gone from a new to a used, so we'll see how we go.
All right, mate, good luck.
No worries.
So they're clearing now the S60 Volvo. Scott McLaughlin, if you've only just joined us, was talking on the radio before the break about a power steering problem. And there he is on board that car. He was battling for a podium position, but nobody could lay a glove at the moment on Shane Van Gisbergen, who got out to almost 10 seconds, lost all that lead now with the safety car being out there. But Van Gisbergen's in a class of his own for speed at the moment. I correct myself earlier, I said he was on his 100th event this weekend, if I only read my own paperwork. He did the 100th at Queensland Raceway, so this is his 101st. But I think everybody that follows the sport knows that whenever there's been a little bit of this weather around, you typically see some pretty flamboyant and impressive driving from Shane.
We're just going to have a quick chat to Gary. Sorry, Gary, to interrupt you. That's
very busy getting my mechanical skills ready for the event.
I'm sorry, Gary. Disappointing way to end that first race.
Well, obviously, we're not really sure, but the power steering we think has failed in a way. Now, whether it's a belt or whether it's a pump itself, we're not sure, but we've got all the componentry ready here. We've just got to make sure we can get the car here in time, because I'm sure the workforce will get the job done if we have the time.
I know you'll be working hard on the car as well yourself. Well,
I'm a qualified man, fully qualified motor mechanic.
I know you're qualified in more ways than one, Gary, but the positive thing is that the car is very fast.
Oh, it certainly is. So am I.
We'll leave it there. Thanks, Gary.
I was just having a little catch up with Brad Jones, who was out here studying the roadway on pit lane. Jason Bright came through the pit lane on that safety car as it puts its lights out, and they actually had a set of slicks sitting out on the pit lane, and he was nearly ready to do it, but just not quite there. And believe me, once it starts to get a dry line, it'll dry up quickly, very quickly. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Thanks for the update, Larko. You'd be a brave man at the moment. The basic rule of thumb is if you see a plume, then it's too early. We think the numbers are around about a 1 minute 38, 39 in the crossover from the wet to the Dunlop slick. They were doing 45s before this little kerfuffle with the safety car. But when they get up to speed and you see a spray plume behind the car, it'd be too early to get onto a slick.
Absolutely. Look at this technique of running down the inside. They've done it again. Van Gisbergen got a much better jump this time. Still pretty lively with the teammates, because Whincup got a little bit better run than Craig Lowndes. And what about Garth Tander's performance, Neil? From 14th to 4th. Great drive in this new HRT Commodore.
And he's going to make another spot here on these numbers. He's down the inside here at turn 2 on Jamie Whincup and moves now into 3rd place, Garth Tander. Van Gisbergen was very wide down there at turn 2. Nervous moments when you've got a big margin. The safety car comes back out, takes all your margin away, and then you've got to fight for it all again. And so Van Gisbergen is having to fight Lowndes at the moment. Tyre pressures change as the temperatures change in the tyres. Perhaps the drivers have had a little fiddle with their brake bias percentages, a little fiddle with the front and rear anti-roll bars, and sometimes you can be reinvigorated by a safety car. How's all the action on the outside of that curbing at turn 5, and that is so slick and slippery there down at 6.
Percat caught wide. Sometimes the freight train there sideways. Moffat wheel spinning out of turn 6. And there's young Scott McLaughlin walking back to the truck for an early shower. It's not a day that he would like to remember based on the performance he put on in not only qualifying for both the races today, but early part of this race he was very competitive. He was the only guy who could, from a speed perspective, take it up to Shane Van Gisbergen. How wild was that?
Yeah, something weird happened with Jason Bright coming off turn 8, the hairpin there, and he's actually got a little bit of bonnet damage on the front of that car. He's actually shoved the bonnet up, the back of it's been shoved up significantly, so there's been nose to tail contact there. The surrounding sky is frightening. It's black in every direction, but the track at the moment is not seeing rain, and there's a tiny little groove appearing where they lean on those tyres at 1. But if you come out of that groove,
which he just did,
that would be spooky.
That was Whincup who missed the groove. He fired into turn 1, got the car sideways, got out of the tram track and made the outside line, almost went off the road. That's why Caruso is right there with him now.
So you only have to lose a pound or 2 of tyre pressure, and the difference in the car behaviour can be extreme. And the other thing that happens in these races, as the amount of water on the track varies, depending on how your car's set up and how you treat the throttle, has a huge impact on the behaviour of the tyre and what happens to the edge of the tyre block with a wet tyre. If you feather them up and around those square edges, the grip, it's like a switch from on to off. And you will see in the back end of this race, if the track continues to lose a bit of the water, there'll be some people who are in more strife than the others. And in fact, Coulthard's on the radio, literally as I speak, howling about tyres.
But it's not only that. If it rains again, once the tyre's damaged, like you're saying, that all the little square edges are taken off the rubber blocks, then if it rains again, it doesn't squeegee the water anymore. So the worst thing that can happen is for it to rain again when the wet tyre is damaged. Just a real quick explanation of around the outside. Why they're running around the outside is because there's a change of position now. Tander has got Lowndes. He's got to 2nd position. He started 14th. Great drive, Garth Tander. And the guys from HRT, in terms of how they've engineered that, have clearly made it a wet car for this race. And this has yielded a great result. Around the outside, the surface of the road, it hasn't been worn. So on the normal racing line, the tar gets worn away. When the water gets on it, it's slipperier. Around the outside, it's more coarse, and therefore it has more grip. So that's why you're seeing different racing lines in these conditions.
Last lap for Shane Van Gisbergen was a 1 minute 43.8. Massively quicker than anybody else in the field. Next closest was just over a second slower. So he's got some real pace here. Gillette Mach 3 replay on the exit of turn 8. So Lowndes was the one that was high and wide there, and it was actually the concrete verge that broke the grip on that car. He was well wide. Gee, that was Tander's just quick at the moment, isn't he? So whether or not they've just found the sweet spot or deliberately made that a wet car. Incidentally, Todd Kelly's come into the lane, and so has Fabian. He was complaining about something.
They just checked the front suspension then. They looked at that to see if there was something wrong. You can see there still Van Gisbergen, fastest sectors, moving away from the field. Caruso applying pressure to the back of Whincup. Kelly moving on to the back of Caruso. Will Davison and James Courtney still in that battle. It's been unfolding, but lap after lap for the last 5 or 6 laps. Percat moving backwards based on that visibility. Moffat damage to the front of that car with the bump and grind from the start of this race. So as Van Gisbergen comes out of the final corner, we'll give you a lap time. You can just see those tram tracks now. That was a great camera shot of the dry sections right on line. You can just see the light colour that's emerged on the main straight. 44.0 for Van Gisbergen. Tander, great job, 44.38. So he's the only guy in the field who has pace versus Shane Van Gisbergen.
So 2.8 seconds is the gap now, Van Gisbergen to Tander. And the last time through, Shane was 0.3 of a second quicker than the next quickest guy in the field, who was Garth. Bit of pressure on Whincup here at the moment. Michael Caruso in the colour reversal on the Norton entry this weekend for him. Celebration of a new Norton product. They're all fiddling around with lines at the moment, just in search of something, anything that resembles grip. Brianna?
Yeah, just in the garage with Scotty McLaughlin, who's clearly disappointed. You had the pace to fight Shane Van Gisbergen. Just talk us through what happened. Power steering pump?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it sort of half lost the cylinder the previous lap, and then basically when I went down to pull the last gear and main straight, it basically dropped the cylinder. Then it locked up the power steering into the second turn, so we don't know. It could be just an oil pump or something like that, so it may not be completely, but now they're just saying it's engine out, so I guess she's terminal.
The boys clearly working very hard behind us. There's not much time between now and the next race.
Yep.
Confident that you'll be able to get out for the second race today?
Oh, they've done it before, and they're the best team in pit lane, so I think we should be right, but gutted for these guys. I drove as hard as I could, and we're second place and looking for another good podium, but another one got torn away from us, but we'll be right. We'll just keep pushing on and have fun.
Plenty of pace in the car. Thanks, Scotty.
Happy as. Cheers, thanks.
Fabian Coulthard, I just see some front suspension arms coming out. Contact with Todd Kelly.
Yeah, I just saw it was a JD car, so I'm not sure who it was. Me and Bridie were having a good battle through turn 3, and I've come out, the outside of the track, and someone's collected me. So it's unfortunate, we probably shouldn't have been back in that situation anyway, but, we just have to fight harder in the next one.
Fabian, you've got a very good read on it now, mate. You've been out there. I noticed some slick tyres were put out on the pit lane. How far away are we from putting a slick tyre on, you think?
I don't think very far at all. It's pretty damp, it's pretty greasy out there, so you'd have to be a brave man to fire slicks on at this point, I think.
All right, thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, I'm not convinced at the moment. There's just enough water out there. You see that little plume. You go out there on a cold, slick tyre at the moment, and you'll see what David Reynolds and Chaz Mostert did in the warm-up lap, where you just float off the road. Maybe a little bit longer if a few more of those grooves appear, but they're only appearing where there's heavy braking and heavy cornering load. The rest of it, there's still enough water to just be a little more conservative for perhaps a few more laps.
Take my hat off to the FPR guys, because that was a good move. Safety car was out. Tyre wasn't good enough. They put fresh tyres on this car of Winterbottom's. He went out basically last in terms of the running cars, and he's moved up 5 spots. He's just about to overtake his teammate now, and the speed is much better, way better than it was before. So those tyres were problematic for Mark Winterbottom.
So we heard a message on the radio that he was going from an older wet to a new, and then Tim contradicted that and said it was the other way around. But whatever, there's a substantial difference. Oh, and Percat and Bright getting into a fisticuff off turn 8. Whatever happened, he's found massive amounts of grip whichever way they went with their tyres, so Winterbottom's coming back into contention here. The other thing is, the longer you go through the timeline of the race, it's a diminishing return unless there's absolutely a definitive edge in putting the slick on, because you spend so much time in transit, you've got no recovery time off the back of it. So as you get towards the end of a 26-lap race, if you don't play the card, and we're already on lap 20, basically now, you're not going to recover. Wouldn't matter if you're miles quicker.
Garth Tander's probably one of the stories of the day, from 14th up to 2nd, just with Adrian Burgess. Adrian, obviously, the new cars suited Garth well, but he's good in the wet.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. Shame we really made a bit of a pigs here at qualifying. If we'd qualified a bit nearer the front, hopefully we would have been giving Cheese a bit of a run. But look, we're happy.
How far can he go, do you think, GT?
Oh, he can only go one place further forward.
Can he get there?
Oh, we'll give it a crack. There's only probably 6 laps left. It's time certain. But look, it's a good start. It's a new car, so we're happy putting it on the podium first race out.
Well done, mate. Good stuff.
Cheers, guys.
Adrian just made mention of the fact that Race Control have advised the teams on the local area network that it is now going to be a time certain race rather than running to its gazetted number of laps. Ooh, that was a moment for Tander. He only just got it pulled up there for the hairpin. He ran it right round the outside of the white line. So he's second at the moment, 4.1 seconds away from the lead with Van Gisbergen, but he's got a cushion. So I don't think he's going to have enough firepower unless, Shane, it really hurts those tyres to be able to bridge the gap. So to a degree at the moment, Tander can just afford to grab some points. They're valuable ones.
They've all got the wiper back on, Crompo, and it's raining again because that end of the track, we can see it from the commentary box, it is so dark, and they've, as you can see now, it's raining again. So where you could see those shiny tyre stripes when Garth went wide, we sort of went, why is that? Well, that's why. It's starting to rain again.
This is Scott Pye up the inside of James Moffat. Weird conditions out there at the moment.
This is ugly. This is fast. Seriously, that is one of the wildest approaches in Australian motorsport. Moffat high and wide. Pye on the inside. Now trying to stop it for turn 2. In the dry, it's about an 80k corner. In the rain, it'd be around 65 kilometres an hour on the slowest point of the corner. And as you can see in the background is Mark Winterbottom. He'll be looking to gain these couple of spots. He's currently 14th, climbing back through the field. Rihanna?
Just want to update you for further in Scott McLaughlin's car. The boys are doing an engine change on his car. They've got just over an hour. We've got about an hour and 10 minutes before his car has to be ready for race 27 this afternoon. It takes just over an hour for an engine change. Richard Holway, he is unfortunately not very confident they are going to get his car ready, but they are trying as hard as they possibly can. They have every single person available working on that car to get him ready for pole position for race 27. Fingers crossed they make it, but as I said, Richard, he's not 100% confident they're going to get that car ready.
On board here with Mark Winterbottom. He's chasing James Moffat. He's 14th at the moment, and he might grab another spot here with this extra little bit of grip that he's found as a result of that pit stop for Ford Performance Racing. We were looking at Scott Pye a few moments ago, and remember that the last time out at Queensland Raceway was off the back of career best performance, position number 4. So there's momentum with Scott Pye at the moment. He's in front of these guys in 12th position. You can just see glimpses of the Wilson security entry now. A nice exit here for Winterbottom. He's trying to find a different way around in terms of corner exit speed compared to James Moffat, who's actually just hunting a little bit of wet track there at the moment. And that's the view of the Bureau of Meteorology radar that all the teams will be looking at, and that's the view of the race leader. 6 seconds is the margin, and he's found pace again. He's just done the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 42.3, and he continues to be about a second a lap quicker in the recent past over Garth Tander. It's a very impressive performance. Point situation on the fly at the moment, provisional. Well, the margin now opens up to 44 points, so consider that Whincup is still punching away there up at the sharper end of the field. He's in 4th, and the man that he's been racing in the championship in the recent past is Winterbottom. He's in 14th, and you can see that we talked at the top of the show about just how tight it is in those top 10 positions, particularly in that mid-pack. And what's going on out there at the moment is scrambling it to some degree. You've got Caruso and Kelly in there, Will Davison in there, and that's spoiling the party for a few of them that have been grabbing points lately. Remember, Fabian Coulthard is in the pit lane at the moment, showing 21st on the computer, but not going around in circles, and so that's hurting him. And he lost some ground also at Queensland Raceway, and he lost ground at Townsville too. So unfortunately, the runabouts are continuing for the Lockwood Racing entry.
So there's only around 3 laps to go. Van Gisbergen with a 41.75, fastest lap of the race. Slightly drying but he's still driving the car on the outside line and running it through the water, which would indicate that he, number one, wants to keep the tyre cool. You can see them all now. Have a look on the main straight. They'll move them over off that semi-dry line into the cold standing water to cool the tyre. Then move it back out onto the dry line to get the car turned into turn one. If you miss that little groove, which we saw Jamie Whincup a couple of laps ago, miss the groove, then you end up too high and too sideways. No grip outside of that tram track. You can see that right in the centre there, which is exactly what Mark Winterbottom just did. He braked it on there, missed it, ran wide, lost a huge amount of ground there to James Moffat. Probably lost 4 or 5 car lengths at turn 2. We're on board now.
And look at the sky to the east. It's pretty filthy, isn't it? So I think there's a huge chance that we're going to see more of that later this afternoon for race 27, because remember, we've got another of these races coming up for you later on this afternoon. Plenty more to come in our broadcast. Looking here at Nick Percat, sandwiched by Lee Holdsworth and Scott Pye. They're at turn 6.
Just been advised it's going to be 25 laps now, Neil, with a time certain finish. So Scott Pye's actually been doing a good job. He's driven the car very well. There's a bit of panel damage and a few marks around the Wilson Security Falcon, but he's actually driven the car nice and straight, nice car control, good throttle modulation. See Lee Holdsworth there running the E63 slightly wide. Nick Percat caught in this sandwich between Holdsworth and Scott Pye. So Van Gisbergen, Tander, Lowndes, Whincup, Caruso, Kelly, Davison, Courtney, Bright, Holdsworth. That's the top 10. In behind the top 10 are these two cars right here. Just in front, Nick Percat, and on board with Scott Pye, currently 12.
Impressive if you consider that that's a 7-second margin, Van Gisbergen to Tander now. And remember that it's been neutralised by the safety car, so that's twice he's built that kind of lead in this race.
Well, as you said, it was almost 10 seconds before the safety car, wasn't it? So, very good performance from Van Gisbergen in these conditions. And we've always said that in the rain, he's shown great form. But there will be some team around this, because, remember, they're pretty much the same car as the Red Bull Commodores of Lowndes and Whincup. Built by the same people at Triple Eight. So those two guys, Lowndes and Whincup, are great race drivers. So they've probably chosen, as in Van Gisbergen, to make it more of a wet car.
Look at this. Pye, Percat, Holdsworth, they're continuing the battle. It could go any way here. And you would not want to be Scott Pye on that wet stuff on the inside at the moment, and contact. What a shame.
That was always going to happen.
What a shame. So Nick Percat's actually recovered remarkably. Oh, dear me, only just got back on. At least he didn't end up bogged somewhere, so he will get some points, but we're about to see this one conclude, and it's going to fall in favour of Shane Van Gisbergen, but the mid-pack are in the middle of a raging battle here at the moment.
Leader has commenced the last lap. Leader has commenced the last lap.
Voice of Tim Schenken, race director. Here he is, Shane Van Gisbergen. Last time through 7.8 seconds. He's just done the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 41.0, so about 11 seconds a lap slower. Had this race been a longer race, they'd only now begin to think about sticking a slick on. However, just as I say that, there was literally the light dropped all around us, because I reckon we're seconds away from another downpour. We'll check out the fresh air here. Just chat amongst yourselves, because here comes Garth Tander. And there it is, 8.3 seconds at last count. And then it's a bit of a fresh air gap back to Craig Lowndes, who typically puts on a good performance in these varying conditions as well. And that's a heck of a battle. You can tell straight away looking at Whincup's car, the rear tyres are shot. So it's walking around on its rear tyres.
Like that.
Like that. It's hurting the blocks and the carcass of the tyre. So he'll stumble across the line with that car, and he absolutely can't wait to get off them. Turn 8, hairpin now for Shane Van Gisbergen, the Kiwi. What a great performance. 25 years of age. Only a couple of corners remaining now. He goes up here into the direction change to the far eastern end of the racetrack. Double left-hander, stays in the groove. He's got tons of margin. He never backs off though, does he? It's all speedway action out of the final corner. A little bit of a short shift. He turned on a great performance in New Zealand earlier in the year for his last win, and now he's done it in front of the Sydney Siders. Shane Van Gisbergen wins race number 26, Sydney Motorsport Park. And a great performance from 14th to 2nd for Garth Tander and a brand new Holden Racing Team Commodore. And then almost an equal distance back, Red Bull Racing Australia Holden Commodore Craig Lowndes. Holden 1, 2 and 3. Then Whincup, Caruso the first Nissan from his teammate Kelly. First AMG car was Will Davison in 7th, and then James Courtney, Jason Bright, Lee Holdsworth, or is it not? No. Scott Pye makes it into the top 10 with about 5 millimetres to go before the finish line. Well done. Go Shane.
This is part drifting. You can probably do that to those tyres now. He probably doesn't ever want to put them on a car again. Sideways. He's got great car control. We've said it many times about his skill level in the rain.
He's ensuring they never put them on another car again.
Exactly.
All the way down the exit, mate. All the way down the
Great job, Mark Winterbottom, Neil. He ended up getting back to 12th. So that was a good call on behalf of FPR and Mark Winterbottom to say, let's get some other wet tyres on there, because he was way down in 20th at that stage of the race. What's this? Van Gisbergen, slowest corner on the track, right out sideways. As I said, he's got impeccable car control and he's done a lot of driving. He's always been good in the rain, but also you've got to take your hat off to the guys at Techno and the VIP Pet Foods Commodore was well prepared for that wet race. As I said, the specification of that car is very, very similar to the 888 cars built by 888 Racing. And when you line up against Lowndes and Whincup in the rain, you want to do a good job to beat them. And this is what this small team has done today. So congratulations to everybody at Techno on a superb performance, and Shane Van Gisbergen drove the wheels off that car today to give them their best result.
And it makes it career win number 6 for Shane Van Gisbergen. Impressive performance. And he lost a couple of championship positions at Queensland Raceway last time out. It was not a happy car for him there. It was an awesome job too. But now he grabs a spot back, and we'll look at all those provisional points and details a little bit later on. But he grabs a spot back in the championship by virtue of finishing right there. Position number 1. Very difficult conditions for the entire field and some big stories to tell. Nice job in recovery, Mark Winterbottom, Ford Performance Racing, to get him home in 12th. As they were staring at being right at the back of the field. And the brave souls that have stayed out there in the rain at turn 1, acknowledging the wonderful drive there of Van Gisbergen.
So Holden 1, 2, 3, and a great slow-mo of Shane Van Gisbergen at turn 1. Superb car control today, and was the class of the field. As he was told on the way into pit lane, you're out there on your own today, mate. Great job, Brett.
Hey, Shane, we know how good you are in the wet, but that was a magnificent drive today. You got away early and just kept it going. Obviously, everything going very nicely with that car in the wet.
Yeah, I thought our tyre pressures were a bit high. We came on pretty quick, but then just awesome the whole race, and had a nice gap until Scotty's engine failed and then had to build it again. But man, the car was fantastic. It wasn't easy, but the car made my job easier. It was awesome.
Great effort. You blasted your way into top 5 in the championship. Well done, Shane.
Thank you. Cheers.
And drive of the day from Garth Tander, making his way from 14th to 2nd. GT, well done. You obviously love that car, but we know you don't mind the wet either.
Yeah, the car was mega in the wet, really fantastic. The only thing was the wiper stopped working after 3 laps, so when it was raining it was a bit tricky, but once it stopped raining and it was just a wet track, the car was fantastic. So we're sort of first in Class B, because when it rains, Gizzy's sort of in a class by himself, so well done to him. But thanks very much to our boys. Worked so hard to get this car up and running, and great debut for us, so hopefully we can go a bit better to Savo and again tomorrow.
Good stuff. Enjoy it, GT. We've got some silverware there for you too. Enjoy that with the trophy. And Craig Lowndes, congratulations, boy. This just keeps your championship just ticking over beautifully, doesn't it? They're valuable points.
Well, it does, Barrett. I think that's obviously we've got a good race result, this one. Of course, next one we start a bit further back. I buggered up qualifying. It's my mistake, so hopefully don't have to pay for it too much. But yeah, the car was really good. It was a nice balanced car. Didn't have the pace of Gizzy, and of course, Garth come on strong at the end. So look, see what we can do this afternoon. Look into the sky, see what happens.
Should be fun. Hey, in the meantime, we've got some great silverware for you. Enjoy that. Well done on 3rd place, Craig.
Thanks. Hello, Levi and Chili.
Mark Winterbottom down here debriefing with a very sick engineer, Grant McPherson, and a step-in engineer, Campbell Little, for the weekend, who's worked with him before. That's an unusual thing to do, mate. But what was more unusual was coming in and taking off a perfectly good set of wet weather tyres, putting on another set, but it worked really well.
Yeah, the first set we used, and you don't know where they come from. You know, we ran them at New Zealand, but that was about 7 months ago. So they sit, they get hard, and you want the spongy tyre in that condition. So I was pretty well crying out for some new tyres, and they put them on, and yeah, we got back through, but still not quick enough. It's hard work. The car's not there this weekend, but you make the best of a bad situation and you keep fighting. That's what you got to do.
You're only 41 points behind him, mate. You're still well and truly in the game.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, that was a nice recovery there for the boys at Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. But here's the results, Super Cheap Auto scoreboard, and Shane Van Gisbergen, 9 seconds in the end, despite the intervention of the safety car. That was impressive. Mark Winterbottom, who we just spoke to, came home in 12th, got valuable points in the process. Mostert escaped from that little excursion pre-race, and then a few of the tales to tell with damage for both Todd Kelly and Fabian Coulthard. Power steering issue also for the Volvo. There's Garth Tander. What a mighty drive for him with Scarlett up from 14th to 2nd. So there's the point situation. It's a 41-point gap. It was 15 points prior to the start of this weekend's event, and lots of other little tales to tell in the top 10 here.